welcome to In the Kitchen with Mrs. Plays. I'm Mrs. Plays, and thank you for joining me. Today is a celebration of Wind Waker. It is part of our year of Zelda, which is coming to a close soon. But this soup is, of course, Grandma's soup, and I love a good soup. This one is gonna be kind of like a lobster bisque, but let's be honest, it's the way Grandma would make it. Her poor granddaughter has been kidnapped, and all we want to do is help out and have some of this delicious soup. So join me as we get going. Take my lobsters. I've got 2 tails from the frozen section that I've thawed. Just gonna cut them right down the middle with my big old kitchen shears. This will help make sure that I can actually get the meat out later. Drop them in the pot of boiling water. About a ½ tablespoon of salt. So I'm gonna pull these lobster tails out. I'm gonna take the meat out of the tails, put the shell back in the water to boil a little longer and get all that good seafood flavor out of the shell. My next step is to chop up my aromatics. I'm using ½ an onion. I will try not to cry. Just every time I think of Grandma and her soup, I just get emotional. I'm gonna save the tops of this celery so that we can use it as a little bit of a garnish, just like Grandma would do. So the next step is to take these lovely aromatics and to put them in our pot with a little bit of butter. So I've got 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm gonna add all these veggies in. If you are chopping up garlic, use about 2 cloves of garlic in here. I'm just gonna use about 2 tablespoons of the already minced garlic. So that goes right in with the veggies. Woo! Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. 2 tablespoons of butter. And letting that butter melt down on a very low heat. I've got a 1/4 cup of flour. I'm gonna add about half of this mixture into the butter, and I'm gonna stir, stir, stir. The roux of a soup is what starts to make it a little bit thicker. And I'm looking for kind of a clumpy consistency with this. So about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It's important to never stop stirring your roux because it'll burn. My next step is to use a little tomato paste. Stir in that tomato paste. Cook this for about 2 minutes on low. Got about ½ a cup of chicken broth that I'm gonna dump into our pot. What we call deglaze the pan. Get all that yummy brown stuff from off the bottom of the pan. Now it's time to do something about these lobsters that have been boiling for a while, these lobster tails. Whew, now I will tell you, I cheated a little bit here because my liquid started evaporating. So I added about 4 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to pour this right into this. This is where it all starts to come together. My next step is I'm going to use a little bit of chicken bouillon, but I'm not using bouillon, I'm using better than bouillon. Now, we want this boiling now.
So as Mrs. Plays and I were planning this episode of In the Kitchen, it was never going to be another thought. It was always going to have to be Grandma's soup. People who have played Wind Waker know how important that soup is actually to the gameplay and to the story. What's special about Wind Waker is that you actually get to meet Link's family. He has a sister named Errol, and he has a grandma. And after Errol is abducted, the grandma kind of shuts down, and after you finally heal her, she provides you with grandma's soup, and the soup itself in the game actually has like a restorative quality. It can refill all of your hearts and give you extra like strength and stamina for like a short amount of time. So it's like some kind of like an elixir. It acts that way. But ever since I played the game when I was young, I always wanted to know what grandma soup tasted like. And so as we were kind of talking about that, it was, you know, how can we incorporate seafood into the dish? And my favorite seafood soup is a lobster bisque. So Mrs. Plays was kind enough to oblige.
Now comes the fun part. I am about to use my immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can ladle some of the soup into your regular blender. We're just gonna blend it up so it's nice and creamy and smooth and not a chunky soup. I am going to stir in about a half a cup of heavy cream. Let's taste it.
There we go.
Woo. Whoa.
Oh man, I can feel my heart's coming back.
Elixir of life.
The lobster is really strong, which I really love. It just makes you feel like cozy, you know?
Yeah.
Which today is great because it's raining outside.
Yeah. Got a nice little bit of lobster right here.
Well done.
Thank
It's
you.
really good.
Thank Grandma.
Yeah, thank Grandma. Thank you, Grandma.
Grandma soup. Thank you for watching In the Kitchen with Mrs. Plays.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like below. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.